Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 42 of the Prattlecast. Today is December the 12th, 2016. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Mafia 3 and providing a little bit of review. What the hell am I talking about?
It would be review. It's okay. Keep going.
And we're also going to be talking a bit about more Mass Effect Andromeda as it hits the news, a little bit on The Walking Dead by Telltale. Season 3 that's coming out pretty soon as far as I know, and I'll also be providing a review of the new Oculus Touch controllers. I've had a chance to try them out. Are they any good? Well, stay tuned and you'll find out what I think.
I like it. You're a little bit like a news reporter, but I like it.
I hate it.
I like it.
I hate it.
You know what? It's a fumble, but it's progress.
Oh, I hope so.
Anyway, while we're fumbling, give me a moment. I'm gonna try this new tea that I have. And,
I'm
gonna see if I hate it. It's very strong smelling of a mint. I feel like there's mint something in there, so that is deterring me from drinking this tea. But I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, I hate every type of flavored tea there is.
Oh, it's not the worst thing I've ever had.
Well, that's a glowing recommendation. Put it on the glass. Not the worst thing you'll ever have.
Wait, I'd put it because I get all my tea from this website called Adagio, and you can get what? What? Did you just say something?
No, I didn't.
I'm good. I thought you were saying hold on, sorry. I don't know. But I get listen, guys, today's a little weird. I get all my tea from this website called Adagio that you can get fandom teas. So if you're really into certain TV shows or movies or universes or even books, you can get teas based off all the characters and stuff. So I got the Walking Dead sampler pack, which is every single character. I don't recommend getting it at $70. You'll never get back. It's a lot of tea. But they give you little sampling dishes, so you have enough to try it a couple times. And this is the Rishon one. I figured it wouldn't be good because I'm unhappy about that situation anyway. But I had to try it to know. So Rishon does not have I give it a 4 out of 10. I'm gonna review teas every week now. This is my new life.
Oh, Jesus.
This is what I'm gonna do. Adagio, sponsor us. Just love me. Give me tea.
You were talking about how people put stuff in tea before we started
Yeah,
today.
You can put milk. You can even put sugar. I feel like I shouldn't be putting sugar in my tea anymore.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think anything except for sweetener and ice is pretty weird, but to each their own.
Well, I get teas with other things. This tea has gunpowder in it. And it's loose leaf tea. It's not a tea bag. It's loose leaf, so it's a lot stronger. And it's not what you would use in sweet tea, and it's hot tea too. It's like what Sherlock Holmes would have.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds interesting.
You're more of a cold tea person. I will have, you know what though? Cold. Next week I will try some cold tea.
Wait, you don't usually drink cold tea?
I've never had cold tea.
You've never had iced tea?
Well, I had sweet tea when I was in Georgia, but this was years ago.
Oh, God.
So,
okay.
You know what? When we're done here, you're going to give me a lovely little recipe.
Yeah, here's my recipe. Pour tea in a glass, add ice. Done.
No,
you're good to go.
But what about sweetener?
Well, you've got to put sweetener in it, or otherwise it's not
I don't even know sweetener brands. What are you talking about?
I don't know.
See, you're gonna have to figure it out because I gotta let the people know about this sweet tea and if it's worth their time.
Listen, I'm a very simple person, okay?
Simple is a word I'd use as well.
And you and your character teas and everything. I'm gonna name my characters over here too. This one's called Snoopy. Oh, Snoopy tastes good.
That just sounds fucked up. But anyway, since you actually have things that you have to discuss today.
So do you.
I always do.
Well,
I always got some garbage up my sleeve.
okay.
But
Well,
you know what? I'm thinking we should touch upon your Oculus experiences.
all right. Well, I've gotten my Oculus Touch controllers, and they're really neat. They're super small. They fit right in your hands. Super intuitive. And so you're holding on to these two little controllers. Each one's powered by one single. Each one has a what do they call it? A double A battery. I think that's what they call it now. All the cool kids are calling them double A batteries. And
No,
you put
no
one.
rechargeable controllers yet.
Listen, I don't know. I
I'm
don't
just
know.
saying. I'm just saying. I had to find out because that's a lot of money spent on batteries. I'm just saying.
Well, so far they've still got a full battery on each one of them.
I
So
know, but millennials don't have money, so I'm just letting you know that they should probably get rechargeables.
well, if they don't have money, they shouldn't be buying Oculus Touch controllers. Okay.
Listen, they do what they want with the money that they get. They're not moving out anytime soon.
You could afford a super high-end PC, an Oculus headset, and an Oculus controller. Then you're going to tell me that it's going to break the bank to get one single AA battery. There are some priority issues going on here. I'm just saying.
I'm not gonna let you in on my life struggles, then. I'm I'm going to keep those to myself. So you have these controllers.
Yes, I've got these two controllers.
Yes.
I'm looking at them right now. They're very cute. They're very sleek. Each one has a thumbstick. Each one has two face buttons. And they're named after, the same type of buttons we've had since the SNES days. So it's got an A, a B, an X, and a Y. And each one has a different type of button next to that. One of them is the Oculus button that whenever you mash this, anybody who's ever used an Oculus Rift knows about, you've got this Oculus home button where you press it, and no matter what app you're in, you're brought to this screen where you can recenter yourself or you can change the volume or whatever. And the other one I think is the pause button or it's used differently for different apps or what the hell ever. And then they also have trigger buttons, and they also have a second trigger button for the middle finger. And what's so cool about it is that it can mimic your hand movements based on all these buttons. So whenever you remove your thumb off the thumbstick, your character can give like a thumbs up. Or if you hold grip tight, you can make a closed fist. Or if you point your index finger out, you can actually have your character pointing their finger. So there's all these neat little things you can do because it mimics the way people would use controllers in their hand positions. And that's kind of cool. Now, the actual experience of using these is pretty amazing. The very first thing you do after you set it up, which takes a while to do, but once you set it up, you go immediately to this tutorial. And the tutorial is you're inside of this retro-futuristic trailer, and you've got these retro-futuristic devices around here that accept cartridges and stuff, and you're just looking around, and there's this little robot who kind of assists you. And this entire experience is meant to teach you how to use the controller. So the robot will offer you something over, and you reach your hand over, and you can take it from him by basically making the hand movements of grabbing something. And so you can hold on to it, you can let it go, you can pick up these little dart guns and shoot them around the room. That experience, which I think it's called First Contact, but that whole experience, the lighting, the character, the way it interacts with you, because at one point I just waved at the robot and he waved right back, and it was this weird moment of, holy crap, I'm actually interacting in this whole other universe. So, to me, that was one of the coolest experiences was, just the tutorial.
Well, no, it's weird to think about that, because you never really could have that before. Everything was always kind of set in games. And then you have this where you can do whatever you want, and then you just wave at this little critter, and it's like, oh, hi, I acknowledge that you waved at me. Let me be nice and wave back.
Yeah, and they've got all these little cartridges in that demo. So one of them you can insert, and it creates the gun. Another one you can insert, and it creates these little instruments that you can use to make music by shaking them. And it's just I was laughing while I was playing this just because it was such a great immersive experience. It's almost like experiencing virtual reality for the first time again, just because of how incredible it is. Now, I played a little bit around. I only played a couple of different things. One thing I played was Racket NX, which is an incredible game. It's like this 360 environment. It's basically like playing squash, except futuristic. So you've got like a racket, then you're hitting this ball into the walls to try to get certain points, and it requires you to spin all around. So you're like, you look to the left to do this, and you turn around to hit the ball when it comes back. So it's a very active game. So you got to make sure you have enough space for it. But yeah,
So
I mean,
did you have to like physically move around the room to play that?
yes, I did. Well, I mean, I didn't like lunge or anything, but I was like standing up and like turning around in circles and stuff and hitting the racket. I'm doing the motion for hitting a racket so I can hit this ball across the room, because you really get sucked into whatever you're doing whenever you're experiencing the VR worlds that you kind of go to.
I need it. I envy you more every day. Now, my one question is like, I've never seen these controllers before, but do they in any way resemble like what we had with like the Wii remotes with the nunchuck attachment and all that jazz?
No, the only similarity between those two is they have like a wrist strap that you can use.
Oh.
They don't look like wands. No, they're
Oh,
things
okay.
you actually grip onto. So it's almost like you're holding not a gun, but something similar to a gun. If you like Google it, you'll see like Oculus Touch. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It doesn't look like it's very intuitive when you first see it, but when you're actually making all the hand movements and stuff in game, it's super immersive to do it. I do want to mention one game that I had a chance to play, and it's a demo for a game that's coming out that's going to be called, I think it's called Robo Recall. And I believe this was made by Gearbox, the people who do Gears of War. I think they might have been behind this, or somebody related to Gears of War. But the demo is called Bullet Train. And this game made me feel like I was the Terminator. You start off, and it teaches you how to move around the room. Because one of the things that's so cool is that a lot of games have this warping feature where you hold down a button and it creates like this beam to go to a different part of the room, and then when you release it, you kind of warp over there so that you don't have to like run over there or walk over there, because most people don't have room to do that. And what's so cool about this is it has all these different guns. It has machine guns, pistols, grenades, and the game is basically you shooting at all these enemy troopers that are coming at you, and you're like warping around the room to get to different stations that have different weapons. And it is just one of the coolest things I've ever experienced, because I really felt like I was just this badass robot who was just mowing down all these people. And it's super to scale, so it's like you're actually just sitting there shooting all these people coming after you, and you're looking all around the room at them, and you're just firing off bullets wave after wave. It's a very empowering game.
It makes you feel very important.
It really does. Like I felt like a total badass. I felt like I was starring in an action movie while I was playing that.
But you don't need to do the warping. Like if you had the room, you could walk around, right?
For that one, no. But
Oh.
in a lot of games, yes. Like a lot of games, you can walk to different places, but that one had specific points that you would warp to. And I know it doesn't sound very interesting whenever I'm explaining it like this, but once you experience it, it's a preferred way to play. Because you don't have to worry about running into something, even though they have this great barrier system that you set up so that it has like this blue wall that comes up whenever you get, too close to your actual wall. So both Oculus Rift has this, and Vive has this too. Vive goes the extra step of having a camera on there so that you can actually see the real world if you get too close. But Oculus works just as well because it has like this blue barrier thing that will come up. And so that's what tells you, no, you're getting too close. You need to, back the fuck off. But yeah, when you're actually using that warping feature, it's kind of awesome.
I'm excited to get it someday. Someday I will have these things too, and I'll be able to share your experiences.
I hope so. It was quite interesting.
So, I have something I have to bring up.
Uh-huh.
I bring it up every week. I can't help it. I can't stop talking about Mafia games. I just can't help it. But I need to talk about Mafia 3 because I'm done. And I know you and I briefly talked about it but we didn't like get into detail. But we did talk about the Joe. We talked about Joe. And then I saw that you had actually posted on Twitter today like a family tree, and on it even says Joe Barbaro unknown. So I was like, yes, nobody knows. It's really good. But to fill you guys in, basically it was when I talked about it with Razzle, it seems as if there is a very high probability that Joe Barbaro is not dead. And that makes me happier than you could ever imagine. I was so excited because once you reach the end of Mafia 3, there's a driver that you get to kind of, you don't interact with, but they kind of check you out for a second and you see them. And when you get to see them, and when I saw a freeze frame of him, it looks so much like him that it's almost like that has to be Joe. So I was very happy to hear that. I've been very stressed about it. So I'm happy to have the idea that he's still around. But I guess I have to give I guess I have to talk about this game and what I actually thought about it, right?
Well, I mean, Mafia 3 in context, I guess, as a series, but also as its own independent game too.
Well, as far as Mafia 3 being a part of the Mafia series, I don't know that I considered it a part of the Mafia series. I think it may have even been better served being its own standalone thing. I think the only real way it can be considered part of the Mafia series is you've got people from the other games. Because there wasn't really any time that I felt a sense of being in a mafia. I felt more like I was in a gang, which doesn't really give you the same feeling. I felt more like I was involved with a group of people from Grand Theft Auto, rather than a mafia game. So I was really disappointed with that, and I thought it would improve throughout the game, but it didn't. I've come to find out that I'm not crazy about Cassandra. It doesn't seem like anybody likes her. I don't know.
I liked Cassandra.
You would like Cassandra. Why do you like Cassandra? I want to know your reasoning behind liking that character, because they made her so unlikable to me. It seemed like if I gave her territory, she wasn't happy. If I didn't give her territory, she wasn't happy. She just bitched and complained at every corner. She kept saying that her and I needed to do this together. And the other two guys were pretty cool about everything. They were like, I understand. Do what you gotta do. Every time. And she just bitched the entire way through the game.
See, that's not the experience I had at all. Like, I mean, I did have that experience with Cassandra, but I had the same damn thing with the other two. It's like the first time that... Because here's how I played. First thing I did was I went out and I did like that first wave of rackets, that they all get.
Yeah, kind of like the test one.
Yeah. And so after that, you're like going through these 6 new territories. And what I did was I gave each of them rackets within specific territories, and then I waited until I had all of them. And then I did all the sit downs. So I did like the sit down for one of them, gave them territory. The other one gave them territory. The other one gave them territory. And every single time they all acted like pricks that first round. It wasn't until the second time that I gave them territory again that they all started acting a lot more nice to me, because they all started to realize, you know what, this person's proved himself, and so be it. But before that, they were all very much like, you better give this to me, or, we're going to have a problem. And no matter who you left as the first person to not get territory. For instance, mine, I think I gave territory to Cassandra first, and then I gave it to Vito, and then I gave it to Burke. And when Burke's time came up, Burke was a total asshole, because he was like, you better give me something. He was like,
well, because it had probably been so long, he's like, am I getting anything? Like, I will go off the deep end if I don't.
And who was the third person you gave stuff to?
Well, so the first time I was actually able to willingly give one, because, as when you do the initial rackets, you don't really have much of a choice.
I'm not talking about those.
Yeah. Once you do your first one, I was giving, because I didn't realize how it worked. So I gave Cassandra rackets, but then I gave Vito the district.
Mm-hmm.
And she was bullshit. And I
Yeah.
understood that. I was like, I didn't know that's how this worked. I thought you would be able to
See, so you probably already
the...
had like a negative action against you by the time you even went into those because of that.
I maybe so, because then after that, I was like, all right. I was like, I'm gonna let her cool off. I was like, I'm gonna give this to Vito. I gave it to Vito, and Burke didn't seem to care. He's like, you know what? He's like, I'll just wait. He's like, it's fine. He was just like, I'll wait. And Vito was just thankful. Vito never gave me a hard time, but then again, I favored him, and he even said at one point in the game that he thought I was sweet on him, and he wasn't wrong, because I was. But I thought it was weird that he noticed. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Damn it. But I given Vito one first, and then Burke, and then Cassandra.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I gave Cassandra one, I thought she'd be happy. But after I gave it to her, she's like, every single time we had to sit down, she bitched about the rackets and then the district going to Vito. Every single time, and I'm like, get the fuck over it. Like, she wouldn't leave it alone.
So right there alone is one of the reasons why she would have, and any of the characters would have given you that same attitude for that same reason. But what I'm saying is that the third person you give somebody something to, that person's going to be like, yeah, you better give it to me even after you give it to them.
Yeah, and then our next sit down after I finally gave her district, though, she was still a piece of shit. So I vowed to never give her anything again. I was like, I'm not giving her anything.
Therein lies the other problem. So you never gave her another territory.
She had her initial one that she starts with and one more, but because she couldn't seem to understand how business works and she was an asshole. And
this has already colored your perception of Cassandra, because what I'm saying is if you gave her another territory, you two of you would become fast friends. Regardless,
but it shouldn't take us that long.
But it does. That's how the game works.
And
since you already had a negative action against, that whole thing, the fact that you kept stacking it afterwards only made it even worse. But what I'm saying is that by the time I got to the very end of that game, all three of my underbosses loved me.
Well, Burke and Vito loved me.
Well, yeah.
Vito thought I wanted him.
All of them liked me. Like, they all got along. Everybody was good. Everybody was happy with what was going on, and we were a team.
Yeah, maybe that's why I didn't really enjoy Cassandra's character. I didn't care about her. I had no interest in who she was as a person.
So you didn't do her personal story?
I didn't do her or Burke's. Now, mind you, I wanted to do Burke's, but I was so tired of doing these same missions over and over and over again that I didn't have the patience, and that was one of the major flaws of the game for me, was it gets boring very, very quickly, because you're doing the same thing over and over. There is nothing changes through the course of that game. Don't ever think a new mechanic's going to be brought in, because it's not. You're going to do the same thing that you've done since the beginning of the game. And I couldn't do it anymore, and I only did Vito's because I wanted to know what happened to Joe. And then after that, I was like, well, I could do Burke, but I didn't have the patience.
Well, I mean, there's a formulaic thing that doesn't really change, but there's also the the side missions are all the same. That's without a doubt. Like, it's always, you're going to go somewhere, you're going to kill all these people here or go to here. And, don't get me wrong, they came up with some interesting mechanics that if you use them, they can add a little bit of variety to that. For instance, I found a couple of bugs that made the game kind of enjoyable. One time I went to one of these buildings where I had a specific target to kill, and I used my ability to see through the walls or whatever it was. I think it's through bugging that you get this. And I could see the target. So I walked up to the wall that he was at, and I used my luring ability where you kind of like whistle or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow he heard that through the wall. So
I had that happen too.
So he walked all the way through that entire building filled with armed guards, all the way outside, and I grabbed him, I choked him, and then I left. And I got through that without having to kill anybody else. But so there were like these funny moments like that. And don't get me, the game has lots of bugs, even like, especially when I played it.
Even now, it still has bugs that were, like, I had the game crash on me 3 times. I had the ground disappear, which I couldn't fix. I had no ground for a long time, so I crashed cars a lot because I couldn't see the ground. And then there was some interesting bugs with characters where their limbs would become really long, and they would, like, kind of go crazy. That was a little weird. But I had the same thing with the whistling and the walls, because if I was underneath, like, like right beneath a floor where somebody was. If I whistled, they'd come down. And like
Yeah.
if they were at the top of a staircase, I could whistle from the bottom and they would come down. And that shouldn't have worked.
No.
But it did every time. But
Yeah,
I
that
just
happened a
I
lot.
found it very stale very quickly.
I found a lot of those things to be very repetitive. I don't go so far as to say that I found it stale. I because I did enjoy the game for what it was, but at the same time, it's hard to deny that the game is heavily flawed, that it's not fleshed out in story very well. After a certain point, it kind of gets to this area where it's just like, just it feels like it stops caring a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think if they're going to continue with Mafia, what they need to do is just take it back a step and not worry about trying to put a lot of stuff in there, because I feel like they put a little bit more quantity than quality this time around, and
They did.
it just wasn't there. Which, if they want to have side missions, that's fine, but if there's not enough story stuff to
Because I found that
supplement-
you lose the story a lot. Because
you
you're doing
kinda
so much other stuff, you lose what you're doing, and then it's like I found myself like I didn't really care as much about the story in this as I have with the other Mafia games.
Yeah, to me, it reminded me a little bit of playing the Godfather Part 2, as opposed to the Godfather Part 1. Like, I've played both games, and they're drastically different. Part 1 follows the storyline of the movie. Part 2 is basically you have kind of more of an open world, and you kind of go around and you can take territories, and it feels very stale in comparison. I would agree with you, but so I think in some ways that Mafia 3 does have that, stale quality, even though I don't think of it as a stale game because,
Well, no, it
like,
was. I just felt like it. I just felt like like if I'm playing for an extended amount of time, like I didn't want to keep playing. Like I wanted to stop. Like I was just like I can't do this same kind of mission again right now. Maybe tomorrow. I just there's too much of the same thing. I don't feel
well,
like
yeah,
there
I
was
mean,
enough variety in there.
it's very much a linear path where it's okay, go take these territories, go kill this boss, and
Yeah.
then let's advance to the next stage, which is a repeat. But having said that, each level does add some variety. It does. Like there's that to me, one of the scariest moments in that game is when you've got that sinking ship and you have to swim through those crocodiles to get to it. I don't know if you remember this or not.
We talked about the big cruise ship.
Yeah.
See, I didn't have an issue there. I did have a moment in the game that actually made me like yell out loud. And
Is
I
it the
was
first time you encountered a crocodile?
no, because I'd seen them, and I actually got an achievement for dumping bodies in the water for the crocodiles to eat.
Yeah.
Because I was like, will they eat it? And they do jump out and just attack it. And I'd seen them, I'd killed a couple of them, and I was like, oh, whatever. They're just there. I ran over a couple of them with a boat. But then I was going after this guy, and he was in the bayous, and I was like, oh, maybe I can go around and cut through the water, get in the building from this side. So, because I took a very sneaky approach to everything, I didn't want to go through places guns blazing. I took everyone out very quietly if I could, because that's just how I prefer to play. I don't want to shoot up a place. I don't like doing it. So I was trying to find the quietest way to do this, and I was like, oh, I'll take the water and go through. So I get in the water, and it's dark out, so I didn't know what was in the water. I assumed it's like a closed little area, but this place around this guy's house is infested with them. So one bit me, and I screamed. And I was like, oh my god. And so I was like, started swimming really fast, and then it grabbed me and like got me in a roll and killed me. Like
Yeah,
it
the
did the
first
whole
time-
like alligator roll business on me, and I was like, mm-mm.
Because I went out swimming somewhere. I was trying to get to some place, and I remember just realizing something was in the water with me. And I was like, oh, God, what is happening right now? And that's when I realized the crocodiles or the alligators or whatever.
Yeah, I can't
actually
tell
in the
which ones
game.
they are. Like, I think they're crocodiles. I think they're the bigger ones. I don't know.
Yeah, but to me, it was still a cool moment when that boat's sinking and you're swimming there. Because if you basically just swim toward the ship, you'll have no problem. But just seeing those crocodiles like swimming around and killing people is very
Yeah, I did see that, and that was like, I was like, oh shit, thank God it's not me. That's what I was thinking. I was like, damn, that's not good. I found that cruise ship, that whole thing, was one of the coolest parts of the game to play through. I had a lot of fun doing that level because like you're in this ship that's falling apart and you're being thrown all over the place. All your enemies are being thrown all over the place. I enjoyed that one, and I enjoyed the mission where you have to be a waiter.
Yeah, I was about to bring that one up because those two
I thought
missions
those were
in particular,
interesting.
they kind of added something more mechanics. The other one that I can think of would be like the boxing level, where you're kind of playing a fighter. You have to pretend like you're a boxer.
I just thought that was too easy. That was my only issue with that one. I thought it was way too simple. Like, because every fight was really easy for me.
Yeah, but at the end, the whole thing with Joe Barbaro, I mean, it's very obvious that that's Joe because for starters, he looks right at your character at the very end. There's no reason that character would have that big of a presence. And also, if you look, that not only are their facial features similar, but like
and they made him
detailed,
which they don't do with characters that don't matter. Most of the characters that are side ones or just goons look very similar.
And his color scheme is similar, and also it goes back to the whole fact that he and Vito are the two characters who appear in all three games. So there you go.
Even though Joe's the only one who was actually thought of in the first game. Vito wasn't a thought when the first game came out because that did not look like him. But
I will say
Joe.
I will say one thing. Mafia 3 does have a super big flaw in the story, depending on how you play. And that is that they paint. I already forgot the protagonist's name.
Lincoln Clay.
Lincoln Clay.
Yep.
They paint him as very similar to Tommy, and that he won't go out and kill women, but he can kill Cassandra. In fact, there are two different points in the story that he can basically just murder her outright. And it was always, and not only, and I bring this up because it's a problem because the way the game plays, you see the future world that talks about the past world. And so in the future world, they're mentioning Lincoln Clay, and they're like, yeah, Lincoln never would kill a woman. And then if you go back and play it that way, he could actually kill a woman. And then it's kind of like, well, it's very obvious that he did this, especially because there's one ending you can pick where Lincoln goes in and murders Vito, murders Burke, and murders Cassandra. And it's very obvious that he does this. So for them in the future to be like, yeah, he wouldn't kill a woman, it didn't make any sense. It was kind of like, well, if you do it.
And they also did the whole thing where Donovan sat and told the story of when they were overseas and how, like, this woman bombed a bunch of people in a bar and everybody wanted to kill her, but Lincoln wouldn't let it happen. He waited for the police to come and he had them deal with it. So you have painted him to be this person who, by all accounts, could never hurt a woman in his life, and then he does.
In fact, it's Donovan's idea to do it. So
yeah, he's like, kill them before they kill you. Take care.
So, I mean, it's kind of a big flaw in my opinion. I kind of look at it and I'm like, I think they didn't really think it through. But it made it in, so you can play kind of a warped version where there's a big problem in the continuity if you want.
Another issue I had with the game, before I get to talking about my ending, was whenever you are chased by the police, it is the most obnoxious thing I've ever dealt with in my life.
Hold on, before you go into this, did you see that video I posted on Twitter?
Well, which one? You post a lot of things on Twitter.
All right, like back when I first started playing the game, I posted this probably 2 or 3 minute long video of me. And I'll tell you what it is. It's like, okay, the first thing is that I'm getting in a car, somebody sees me, so they're going to report me to the police. So I use my car, I run that person over.
Oh, I saw this,
Immediately somebody sees me and reports it to the police, so I run them over. Immediately someone sees me, so they report me to the police, so I run them over. And I do this like 6 or 7 times before I finally kill every witness. And at some point in all this, I'm just thinking, if you're a witness to this, you're walking away at this point. You don't watch 6 people get mowed down for running
and
to
then just say, I'm
going
to call the police. You just leave.
Yeah. And now, thankfully, there is a skill you can unlock where nobody calls the police if you get into a car. I think it's one of Burke's skills.
I think it's actually one of Cassandra's.
It might be. I don't
Is
know.
that
It's
where
been a
you can
while,
like
but I
cut
thought it was
where you can
worked
cut the
because of
phones?
police. No, not cutting the phones. I'm talking about like I think it's whenever you break into a vehicle, you don't make a sound, so nobody sees
Oh,
you
that's
breaking into a
Burke.
vehicle.
That's
Yeah.
Burke. Yeah, I got that one. I got that. But yeah, the cops are so obnoxious in that game. They are almost impossible to get away from sometimes. Like I got to a point where I would just sit there and let them kill me because I didn't care. I was just like I was like I can't. Or I'd jump in the water and just start swimming because they won't follow you. There's no water police. They're not getting into boats, so I would just do that. I'm like, fuck it, I'm getting away from you people. I can't do it anymore. I'm
I
done.
didn't have a lot of problem with the police, but
I had a huge problem with them. They drove me insane.
well, there are certain areas that will report it faster and they have faster response times. They built that into the system so that if you're like in a nicer area, then the police respond faster, whereas if you're in a rundown area, they're not going to respond very fast.
Yeah.
So there's that too. But I didn't have a lot of problems with them. I think also because I had gotten those Burke skills where I had like friends in the police.
Oh, once I
and so
got
they would-
those, I was using those constantly. I didn't care how much money it cost. I was like, fuck it.
In fact, that's the
Get 'em
only
off
reason
me.
to really be nice to Burke is he has like those ties to the police.
Yeah. Well, I think Vito's perks are the best.
I thought all three of them had good perks, and that's why I wanted to get as many as I could. But
Yeah, Vito had all the crazy health upgrades, super crazy health upgrades, speed upgrades. He had his amazing hit squad, which had enforcers and everything. I called them in all the time. Anytime I got into a fight, I was like, give me my hit squad. And I had like these 4 crazy Italian guys show up and start blowing up the place. They were fun. I liked using them. I liked the perks in the game. I did enjoy that. But there was just a lot of things in it that, like, it's not something I can see myself going back to.
no, I don't think it's a game I'd ever pick up again.
Yeah.
No.
But, I guess now I get to my ending. I was really excited to do the end of the game, because when you finally get to like go after Sal, I was like, finally, I'm going to kill this son of a bitch. And I wanted to kill Georgie more than I wanted to kill Sal. I had more issues with Georgie than I did Sal. I was like, I don't fucking like Georgie. That's slimeball. Like, I just didn't like him. But when you get in the car and they play that Bad Moon Rising song as you're driving there, I was like freaking out the whole drive. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. Like, this is the end. This is how it all goes down. And you're going crazy through this whole building. And then, I found killing Georgie really satisfying. Like, I was like, yeah, just slow knife to the belly. Let's do it. But then when you get to Sal, I was upset. Like the whole sit down conversation with him was interesting. Like, it was a conversation. But like, I couldn't find myself really giving a shit. And then, the way you kill him, you stab him in the leg and you throw him out a window. It just didn't feel like a good final murder. Like, I already threw a guy out a window.
Well, why didn't you? Why didn't you like it? I guess is the best way.
I just felt like it wasn't enough for a final. It wasn't enough for an end game kill for me. Like, I remember in like the trailers we saw when you have you and all your people behind you, and you've got that guy in the bayou, all tied up, which isn't in the game, but you've got that whole scene there with them. And I wanted something more like that. Like, I did not feel like my people that I had with me were actually a part of any of it with me. And that bothered me in the end because I kind of figured they'd be there with me, kind of helping me take down Sal at the end. And they would be there to kind of end it all with me. And they weren't. And we just shove him out a window. It just didn't feel good to me. Like, I wasn't happy with it. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess he's gone.
Yeah. No, I mean, I see what you're saying.
I
agree
just wasn't.
On some level, the fact that whenever you kind of get to the end and you've built up all this collective, like, all these people, and you're basically going in there solo.
Yeah, I thought they should have came in with me. Like, even if I start off alone, fine. But then, like, Burke shows up, Cassandra shows up, Vito shows up. I wanted something like that. I wanted to feel like we were a team at the end, and I didn't feel at any point like there was a team effort to bring him down because they all wanted him dead, and they all made it clear, like, oh, I want to take down Sal. So I was like, okay, we should do this together then. And we never had that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And now, granted, I thought the ending kind of works. Now, I think that whenever, the whole throwing him out the window, that's debatable. But that whole conversation and everything is what kind of leads to the last conversation with, I think his name is Leo.
Leo
But
Galante.
But I feel like that whole thing wasn't really about Sal. It's not supposed to be. It's about Lincoln. And I feel like if they had done a better job of building Lincoln and making the story more revolve around him, then it would have made more sense. But it was very clear that there at the end, Lincoln is kind of, because they want you, I know the developers, they want you to like have this ethical dilemma choice. It doesn't happen because they kind of fumble it. But that whole scene there is meant for Lincoln to kind of look at his possible future. And he's got to think, am I going to become the next Sal, or am I going to become better than Sal? Can I do it better than this guy? And to be fair to Sal, Sal wasn't even really an evil character or anything like that. They did
paint him out to be, though, but I didn't see him as one either.
I didn't either, because it was very clear even from the very beginning that he just didn't. Okay, here's the thing. He had an idea where Lincoln could take over for his gang, for that gang. And Sal wanted him there because he was having difficulty working with the current leadership there. And
he was kind of losing his touch. He wasn't the man he used to be.
And it was very clear that, Georgie would have been the one who's like, yeah, I know this guy. He'd be great there. Put him there. And that Sal would have gone along with it because, why not? He just needs somebody there. And so when he pulls out, he's like, okay, well, I'm just going to get rid of all of them. Because Lincoln doesn't want anything to do with it. So he's like, okay, I'll just get rid of all of them. But Sal was just kind of more and more becoming more and more desperate as it goes along. But it's a story of revenge. And so he doesn't really have a chance. And I always kind of felt like it would be smarter if this was more of a Mafia game to kind of put the grudge aside and think what would be better for business. Like if you're Lincoln Clay, why are you seeking revenge? Like after a certain point, you're becoming this businessman, and there should have been an option there at the end. One of the possible endings should have been you make a deal and or have Sal go out a different way, and you kind of take over. But I don't know. I felt like there should have been something there where it's more of a business decision, and you can show Lincoln's becoming more of a boss, because if it's personal, then that's not going to be a good boss. If everything is going to be personal, because that's really what Lincoln's story is. It's all about personal revenge and vengeance.
And see, it didn't, like when you're saying it should have been about business and stuff, it just didn't feel like a Mafia game to me. I felt like I was more in because to me there's a distinction between like the Mafia and being like in a gang with, just a bunch of people. I feel like there's a difference there, and I felt like I was just in a gang of angry people who just wanted to hurt somebody. It didn't feel like Mafia. It felt like I was tearing apart Mafia. Like that's what I was doing. I was tearing apart the Mafia. It just didn't feel right for me.
Well, now, I mean, they've got some options now, because if they take the series further, I mean, when you go into the 70s, you could easily take it to Vegas. I mean, that would be interesting. And then, of course, you have the 80s, which I would love to see. So,
But I'm curious where they take it, because when I finished that and I went back to the church and they ask you what you're going to do. I argued with myself, because I was worried if I went to the building to meet with my people that I would kill Vito, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to kill anybody. So I decided to leave, because I didn't see a reason to stay. Lincoln didn't strike me as a person that could actually lead this place effectively, because I don't know, he just didn't seem to have a reason to.
So you just drove off.
I left. Yep. I left, and Vito took over, and the place turned out to be really great. Lincoln just kind of disappeared. He was going to get married and then kind of went off the grid, and nobody knows where he is now. But I just decided to walk out, and I think it was to me, I think it was the best choice because I don't think anybody could run that place better than Vito.
See, I disagree. I think my choice was the best choice, and that was I had Lincoln unite the three clans and then took over the business, and he ran things smoothly. In fact, the only two endings that even have sort of a positive ending were the one you got and the one I had, because the other ones were, the other ones kind of go to hell. They
Yeah, we watched the other ones, and those are horrible. Like Cassandra she's Cassandra. I wasn't wrong about her. I'm just saying, I wasn't wrong about her. She's crazy. And then Burke just succumbs to himself, really, more than anything else.
See, I felt like all of them had a potential weakness, and that Lincoln could, move beyond that and use their strengths to make the city better, which he does, if you go with that ending.
What do you think Vito's weakness would be? I'm curious, because the other two are pretty obvious. Vito might have been a little overambitious in some ways, because even in part 2, most of his problems seem to be revolved around the idea that he's a little impatient. Even in part 3, he's impatient. Now, granted, he probably has a reason to be impatient by part 3, but a lot of his problems came about because of his impatience in the second game. So he kind of always saw what's the phrase? Is it seeing the forest before the trees or whatever? Yes.
That seems to be kind of Vito's biggest problem.
I can see that. I was really happy with my ending, though. I just knew I didn't want to hurt anybody. So, I didn't even go to the house to find out. I was like, I'm not going. I'm gonna go. I just want to leave. And I didn't know how things what would happen if I left. And then, does the whole thing, and I find out Vito took it all, and he made the place pretty great. So I was like, good for him. He gets to be up there now. Good for him. I was just happy for him. For me, I cared more about. I really just cared more about his story ended out. It was sort of a fan service ending.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, and that's I'm a big fan of his, so just I'm happy for him. That's how I wanted his life to end up. So I was happy with my ending, and then after sitting through the credits and seeing John Donovan's own personal ending, I guess, or beginning, maybe. That whole scene of him kind of losing his mind while he's being interviewed about JFK and everything, it makes me curious. Do you think he's going to play a part in future games?
I don't know. If I had to try to figure out where the fourth game would be going, my guess would be they bring Joe in it, because the fact that they left that one quote unquote open ended feels like they're trying to resolve it in some way. So I'm still favoring them going to Vegas, and so maybe John Donovan does end up there, and maybe he plays a role where he's a different faction, so to speak.
Well, I'm wondering if it could be that, or if that's who you are. Because he does say he's like, oh, I'm not done here. I don't end this with you. I'm starting this with you.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea what they're going to do. So
I just think it's the first thing I thought of when it happened. I'm like, I wonder if we're going to see more of him now. Is he part of the future? And then once we talked about Joe, I was like, well, Joe's got to be a part of it. They've got to. I mean, Joe's been there since the first game, so he's got to be in it, right? I mean, they wouldn't just show him at the end for nothing.
I would hope not.
But I mean, overall, I think it was worth playing it. It wasn't my favorite game. It was worth the play because I got to see a bunch of stuff from the second game. I got to revisit old characters. I got to do some cool new things. The game's really pretty to look at too. It's a really beautiful game. But it doesn't beat 2 for me. 2 is still my favorite one that's come out, but I'd say it's worth playing at least once for the sake of the story, and for the sake of the series. But it wasn't. I don't think it was their shining moment with that game.
Nope.
Thank you, Razzle.
Nope.
Thank you. That was very.
Nope.
Nope. Nope. And today I watched a new launch trailer for the Telltale Walking Dead game. And there were two new things that I noticed that I haven't seen before. They're introducing Jesus into the Telltale game, which is really exciting because I know you've met Jesus.
Yeah.
You've met him. He's a really wonderful character in the comics, the show, and I'm sure in this. He seems to obviously be an ally. If he wasn't, that would be very awkward. And the other thing I noticed is that Clementine is carrying a baby on her back in parts of the trailer. There's this little black boy on her back, which makes me wonder where the hell we obtained a baby from.
Oh.
But they keep releasing new trailers for it. It comes out on the 22nd? I think
Maybe?
December 22nd is when it's out. And so that'll be out soon. But there's just two new things I noticed from it. They're bringing in Jesus, and that's a big deal for me.
Yeah, look forward to it.
I mean, aren't you still behind?
No,
Are you caught up? Are you caught up with that game?
Yeah, the Walking Dead games, yeah.
That's the only one you're caught up with.
Yeah, it is.
I'm ashamed.
Okay.
You need to get on top of this.
I'm way on top of it.
But I'm gonna pick up the season pass soon, and because I think they're releasing episode 1 and 2 at launch, which I don't think they've ever done that before.
Yeah, I don't think they have, but I don't know.
So they will be getting that, and I know we're playing as two different characters that will come together at some point, and we don't even know if Clementine's gonna be a main character or if she's just a companion. There's really no indication of that yet. But that's all I had for The Walking Dead. But it was new stuff, so I had to share it. Now, I have, there's a lot here about Andromeda.
Okay.
Jesus, you're so full of energy right now. You're killing me.
I feel like you're leading us to something.
I'm on a journey.
What do I say to that? Okay.
I don't know. I'm just.
Is there something I was supposed to say there?
I'm pandering for attention. I don't understand either. They're bringing back loyalty missions, which I think we kind of talked about before. Mm-hmm. But they're going to be optional, and they're not going to hold weight on the story. They're just there if you would like to get to know characters better. There's no reason to do them. They will not increase relationships with the character or anything like that, like romancing and things. But they're there if you want to get to know different things about them.
Well, they've always been optional.
Well, they were stating at some point in one of the games, it was made to feel like doing the loyalty missions changed things that happened later in the game, and changed yes, it will not have that effect anymore.
So what's the point in having them?
Just to have reasons to get to if you want to get to know the characters.
Just random shit to do.
They don't want you to feel like it's forced though for the sake of adding stuff to the story.
Is this gonna turn into one of those games where we're just like, okay, well, you don't have to do anything. If you want to, you can just experience the ending. You don't have to mash any buttons. Just watch it. You can just watch the game. You can just
watch everything. You don't have to do anything at all.
I mean, pretty soon, why even bother? I mean, why do we even make games? Why don't they just release a movie?
But that was their thing. Was they're doing optional loyalty missions. You don't have to.
But if you want to play the game, I mean, why not do them?
Just fucking. I'll be doing all of them. So just do them. With romancing, they are not making it so every character is bisexual.
What are they? Oh my God! What are they doing? Why? Hold on. Before you tell me this,
okay.
Hold on. Wait a second. Let me get my tea.
Do you need to
I need to pour some tea.
Okay.
I'm pouring some tea right now because God, I am going to be angry. Oh, I can hear it. Okay. All right. Go ahead and hit me. Tell me about what's going on.
They admitted that in the first series, they wanted to have an even number of gay and straight characters so that people felt like
that worked out really well, didn't it?
Dear God, the rage is coming out.
That worked out so well. I'm so glad they wanted to do that because you could definitely tell that they put a lot of effort in there.
Well, they felt that, looking back, they admit that it seemed like some of the sexual orientations were forced and that it didn't suit who the characters were as people. Which they're not wrong. So They've decided that romancing will be done in 3 different ways.
Oh, Jesus. This is getting complicated. Hold on, I'm going to take notes. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You ready for this?
I've got my
You
pen.
can decide to have just friendships with somebody, and you can decide to have
Friend
moments.
zone.
Right. You can decide also, like, if you don't necessarily want to sleep with this character, but you want to be close to them, you can have, like, bro moments, which is exactly what they said. Bro moments. Yes, you can do bro moments instead of being like, hey, sleep with me, meow. Some relationships will be short-lived. Some of them will want certain things from you emotionally or physically, and it's up to you to decide whether or not those are things you want to give. Some characters won't care if you sleep with other characters. Other ones will feel as if you've betrayed them and hate you for it, which is kind of cool. I'm interested in that part of it.
I feel like young people playing this are going to come out so screwed up.
They're going to be like, what the fuck?
What did I do?
Why did they hate me so much?
I could just see the Tumblr post right now of people just freaking out over their love interest.
But it's
just
it was brought up like, are they gonna have gay characters? Are they gonna have bisexual characters? And they're like, yeah, but we're not gonna try to follow like a formula like we did last time, where we're like, we need to have this many of this and this many of this. They want to make it so that it aligns with who the characters are as people, and that it doesn't feel like it's coming out of nowhere and it doesn't fit them.
Okay, well, see, I don't even understand what that means.
I don't.
See, that might mean they're going the Inquisition route. Which I don't think anybody was happy with the Inquisition route, but I whatever. I mean, they had basically with Inquisition, you have like all these followers. Some of them are straight, some of them are bi, some of them are gay, some of them are lesbian, and that's that. And if you like, for instance, Cassandra, is that her name? The lead female in Inquisition.
I have not played Inquisition, Razzle.
Well,
why are you asking me questions you know I don't know the answer to?
But she was also in part 2, but you haven't played part 2. Whatever.
No, I have not.
Okay, well, anyway.
What the fuck?
She's as straight as they come. So she's totally straight, and lots of lesbians lost their shit. They wanted this lady.
Well, I think she probably could have been converted if we tried. They should have given us the option to convert.
But I think this is what I'm getting at, is that, I don't know. It's whatever. Whatever, guys.
Because given the right person, right circumstance, I think anybody could be like, well, maybe I like women now. You never know.
I like the guy with the beard. What was his name? I can't even remember what his name was, but he was straight as shit. So, whatever.
I don't know. But they said romancing will be done. Like, you can have friendships, you can have like a best friends, you can have lovers, or you can have one night stands.
But they're not. Well, they didn't say everybody. Wait, so they're not really saying anything. I mean, I thought you said well, they're not all bisexual. So what?
No,
are
they
doing?
are saying that there will be gay characters and straight characters and bisexual characters, but you cannot just sleep with everybody.
Why not?
Because they don't love you. They don't care about what you want.
All of them.
One thing
This is so stupid. Hold on, wait a minute. This is so stupid because if I'm playing Star Trek. All right, and I want Kirk and Spock to get together, but my only option is...
You have weird thoughts.
Let's say that the only gay option is Chekhov, okay?
Okay.
That's just not going to do it for me. I'm just saying that this doesn't work.
I'm just saying, have you met Kirk?
Yes, I've seen Kirk do many things.
I don't think he's going for Spock in that way.
I think that he could very easily go for Spock.
You've had different thoughts about this than I have.
Well, I've seen the series.
Well, you they have another option that they're putting in that I don't like.
What is that?
And I feel like it's gonna sound shitty no matter what way I put it.
Oh God, what are you doing?
Here's the thing.
Oh.
I feel like no matter how I say this, I'm going to be a racist. So I'm just putting that out there right now. There's no way for me to not be racist, so I'm a racist right now. As you know, you can customize like both riders and the dad.
Mm-hmm.
You can plan them all. So you can decide that your dad is black as the ace of spades, and the two kids are white. Like, you can have one black, one a yellow tint, and one white as snow.
Okay.
You can have all three of them be three completely different ethnicities.
Okay.
How the fuck does that work?
Adoption.
Oh!
What is wrong with you?
But they're gonna look similar.
What do you mean they're gonna look similar?
They said that they're gonna end up looking similar to each other.
Wait, what are you talking about?
I'm just saying, I'm not okay with it.
I mean, well, I mean, I remember Fallout where you would basically create a character and then they would design the father to look like your character. So
Yeah, they said there's gonna be some similarities, so you know they're related.
well, maybe they're biracial.
So why would you? I don't. But it looks like you can try to make it triracial. I'm just saying. I don't think I like it.
I don't know.
And that is my opinion. I don't.
You don't like it?
I don't like it. No.
I love it.
Everyone's got to be the same color in that family, and that's just how I feel about it. It's bothering me a lot that they brought it up.
It's a strange thing to be bothered by.
I know. It just irritates me.
I've got real problems. Okay, I need.
Yeah,
to know
you're
how
worried about not being able to fuck everybody in the game.
I'm just worried about they're gonna. I just know them, and they're gonna put the one character I want to hook up with, and he's gonna be a straight guy, and it's gonna be like high school all over again.
Dear God.
I don't want to experience this again.
Well, they confirmed, because the guy, I can't remember his name. Fuck. I was listening to him for like 45 minutes. The guy who wrote all the characters from the original trilogy. He was like the writer for the characters.
You felt like Drew Karpshin or
no, it begins with a W, I think. His last name begins with a W.
Oh, is it what a Maniac?
I don't know. He's white. He's a white man. Not Waka Waka. I don't
know how to say his name.
I don't know.
Watamaniuk.
No, that's not his name. But he was asked who he believed was the best love interest in the Mass Effect series. Guess who he said?
Wait, hold on. Could you repeat the question?
They asked him, like, who do you believe is the best love interest that you wrote into the series?
Oh, the best love interest that he wrote, probably Liara.
Nope, he said Garrus.
Oh, really?
He said Garrus was the best one he wrote. He's like, I think Garrus is the best love interest I've ever done. And I was
so
like,
proud of him. So
I was like, girl.
Yeah, then he made him straight. So grill him on that. Grill him. Let's talk.
Well, maybe that's why I never played a male ship.
That's why you never played a male ship.
That could be why, because I'd lose my boyfriend. Well,
you'd lose a lot of things. You'd have to. It was with the first game. They had like male ship. He could hook up with racist Ashley, or he could hook up with
I fucking hated Ashley.
Stalker Liara. So
yeah, didn't like Ashley.
I mean, those are your options. And then what was it? The second game, male ship can hook up with Miranda.
Fucking Miranda's the worst thing. That's another character I didn't like.
Yeah.
Wasn't a fan of Miranda. But anyway,
or he could hook up with Miley Cyrus. I mean, Jack.
What?
Was it like a one night stand?
Yeah, it's not real because Jack doesn't like love anybody. Jack's kind of insane. But
that's why I like Jack.
They also said that there will be a new game plus.
Well, yeah, so like the first one, yeah. They had a new game plus.
Yeah, so they're gonna have that. Well, they didn't have that in the later ones.
No, they didn't.
Yeah,
no.
So they're bringing that back. He pretty much said repeatedly that there will be more games in this universe, but it will not be a trilogy.
Of course not.
But they want to do more games in the world of Andromeda.
Well, that makes sense because they can't really go back to the Milky Way now, so it's kind of Andromeda or a different galaxy altogether. So.
Yep, and so I thought that was cool that that they're already thinking of doing more with the world. So Mass Effect isn't dying.
Or the galaxy.
And yeah. And they're bringing back trigger interrupts.
Yeah, I know about that.
Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're bringing those back, which will be interesting to see how they implement those now. One thing I thought was kind of weird is that your crew members and your partners can't die. They confirmed
What
that
do you
none
mean?
of those people will be able to die in the game.
Well, that's kind of like the other games, isn't it?
No,
Well, except for maybe like part two, but
like your partners, like the people that you're with, they can't die.
well, that's every other game in the series, isn't it?
Well, Morden dies. Rex can die.
No, no,
Ashley
I'm not
dies.
talking about like you're talking about you're talking about those. I think what they're saying is that they won't die like on the combat field,
I don't think that's what
right?
that meant. Because in the
And why would they
interview,
say nobody dies in the story? I don't think that's what they
because
meant.
they're not that bright. Because wait till I
I
tell
don't
you
think that's
something
what
he
they
said
meant, though.
later. Because something he says later really grinded my gears. But they said it, and I didn't know how to take it. I mean, but like I don't know. I took it as if he was saying that they will not die in the game.
I don't know.
That's how I
I don't
took it.
think I don't think that's what they're saying. I don't know.
There's going to be 7 different classes you can play as.
I thought they said they were getting rid of classes.
Well, he said technically at the end.
Oh Jesus! What are they
Because
doing?
you can level things differently. And when asked what his favorite class was, I don't know if it was a part of the original series, but they said they had this one called Infiltrator. Is that part of the original set of classes?
Don't think so. Unless it was like an engineering thing, because I don't know what all those were.
Because they asked him like, oh, how many classes are there going to be? What's your
It might have
favorite?
been.
He said 7 different classes technically, and then that his favorite was Infiltrator. Because
Well, I mean,
the
I know
guy
you had, like,
hosting
you
said
had-
Vanguard was, and then he was like, no, he's like, I like Infiltrator.
Yeah, because they had soldier, they had adept, engineer, then they had vanguard, and I don't remember what the other two were called. So there might have been an infiltrator in there. So I don't recall because I never played the other two. I never played the adept engineer or the soldier engineer.
Yeah, I didn't know when he said it. I was like, I don't know if this is new or different, so I'll have to ask Razzle and see. But there apparently is going to be kind of, I guess, 7 different builds you can go, even though they said there wasn't going to be any kind of classes. It seems like there are several different routes you can take, which are technically going to be classes.
Oh my
They just
God.
don't want to put a title on it, I guess. I guess they just didn't want to
Oh
come
no,
up
it
with
was the infiltrator. Yeah, that was
That
was
was a
one
class?
of the 6. Yeah, so it was adept, soldier, engineer, vanguard, sentinel, and infiltrator.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the infiltrator must be the engineer and soldier combination. Maybe? I'm hoping I'm getting this right.
I don't know. I have no
I
idea.
guess I could look. Tech savvy warrior. There you go. That's what it was.
Huh.
So if that's what you want to play, I know a lot of people like that class. So
I'm definitely going to go for something different when I do my playthrough of the first 3 games again, because I always go soldier, and I'm ready to branch out.
it's about time.
I know, but
Soldier's the most boring to
I've
play.
been branching
Soldier...
out in games now, and I'm like, I'm doing things that are uncomfortable, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I think I'm becoming a grown-up. He also revealed that he almost made it possible to be able to fly the Tempest manually. But he said it was a little bit too ambitious, and they thought that if they added you being able to fly wherever you wanted and do whatever you wanted, it would take away from all the stuff that they wanted to do. Because their worlds and the planets are already going to be so big, and there's going to be hazards on each planet, and they're all going to have side missions and things to explore and dungeons, which I think is cool. You can, like, find dungeons and all on the worlds. But they almost made it so we could fly the Tempest, and they decided to take it out, which I think I'm okay with. It would have been a bit much.
I mean, they had something similar even in Inquisition where there were no loading screens whenever you went to a certain area, so you would naturally walk into a cave that would become a dungeon or whatever.
Yeah.
Which was neat, except that it was just so barren in that game that who even cares about it?
Hopefully this is not barren, considering we get to we're doing a lot of scanning everywhere, scanning life forms, scanning different things on each planet, which helps you fill up your codex and discover the planet and like really know about it. So that'll be really cool. It's because it's gonna be about exploring, so you're gonna want to go into those caves and see what lives in there and all that stuff. Hopefully they're not barren wastelands. That would suck. And I know we touched upon the crafting and stuff last time we talked about it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was going to be a really cool thing. They're going to make it so you can like unlock recipes essentially for new weapons too and armor. And there'll be different sets of weapons and armor, and you can mix and match armor sets, customize all of them. And you have to create them all yourself. So I'm excited for that, to be able to like have a nice customized suit. Like no suit's gonna be the same.
Oh my god.
I like that. That excites me. I don't know. I like the idea of all the crafting stuff. I'm excited for that stuff.
I'm excited to figure out who these romances are and whether or not I'm going
You're
to bitch
really
about
freaking out about this still?
Listen, it's a very, very.
You're going through a delicate time, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't exactly have a great track record here, so.
Well, they're doing their best, okay?
They're not doing their best.
They're trying.
I mean, they could be doing better.
More than likely. But we're not going to judge. Not right now. They talked about PB, which I didn't want to listen to, but I did. Because I have an aversion towards any Asari that comes near my character because of Liara. Liara just made me very wary. PB is the opposite of Liara. They made a point to announce that. They're like, she will be nothing like Liara's character. And I was like, oh, thank God. Because I could not deal with another Liara. And she's not a part of your group. She doesn't exist on the Pathfinder. You meet her through the story.
Spoiler.
Yeah, she's already there on the planet.
That's
somewhere.
Horrible.
Yeah, she's already existed there, and since the human ship is the only one that actually made it through, I think she's probably going to be a piece of finding out what happened to the other ships, because there are escape pods for all the other races spread out around the lands. So you'll be able to find out what happened to their ships and crews and what's going on with them. So I think she might be a part of that, or maybe she was already there before any of these people came.
Well, yeah, I mean, even like when they were doing the annotated trailer, so to speak, when they were like talking over the trailer, they mentioned that world you go on in the trailer. That person you meet there has been there longer than Ryder, but they left at about the same time.
Yeah.
So I think you'll be encountering a lot of people from the Milky Way who have been there just hanging out, doing not much, but, just chilling.
Yeah, and the other arcs that went down, I mean, you're going to encounter all of those people. They've been dealing with the planets and the life there longer than you have.
So now we get to go there and tell them how to do their jobs.
Exactly. We're going to America the hell out of this place.
And then romance whoever BioWare deems acceptable for us.
Jesus Christ. There was one thing that doesn't really have anything to do with the game. That was really everything I had for the game. I figured the romancing thing would be the one that had... I should have said that one last, because you got real fired up. You got real fired up about that. I wrote New Game Plus in here twice, so I must have forgot about it. But when I was watching one of the interviews, the long one, they were like, oh, we have a bunch of questions here from, a bunch of the fans in the community that we want to ask you. And it was like a whole 40-minute thing of them asking questions that the community had submitted to Game Informer to ask. And the guy responded with, oh, really? He's like, oh, I thought the community had been pretty quiet. He's like, they haven't really said much. And he's like, well, have you checked Twitter? And all I could think was, maybe you think they're so quiet because you closed down any way for them to fucking communicate with each other.
Yeah, just shut down their fucking forums like a bunch of idiots.
I thought it was shitty that he said that out loud, that he was like, oh, I thought they'd been pretty quiet. And he was obviously being sarcastic, but I was like, you motherfucker. I was like, the only way they can talk to you guys is through Twitter now.
It's so stupid.
There's
I don't even
no
know.
other way.
Every time anybody brings this up, like about the forums, it just makes me so angry, because it is one of the shittiest things that a gaming company has ever done ever to their own fan base too, no less.
Yeah, because his interviewer was like, oh, have you checked Twitter? They're all talking on there. And it's like, yeah, that shouldn't be the only place they should be able to talk. That's kind of sad.
It's stupid.
There's no way to catalog conversation or hold discussions with people through Twitter. But
And you know what? All the feedback they're going to get is going to be like an echo chamber, because they're only going to hear the stuff they want to hear. So I do not exactly see BioWare as a company that's going to be improving its product from here on out.
well, and they kept going on to say, he's like, we've never been a company to worry about the negative. They're like, we worry, but just enough. He's like, we want to do right by our fans, and we are listening. And I was like, how are you listening to them?
Who are you listening to is the more important thing.
Yeah, because we're listening. We understand that they're skeptical and they're nervous, and we've been showing it to groups of fans and stuff. And I was like, all right. I was like,
which groups?
Right. It's like,
who
but
are
this
in these
isn't...
groups? Are these like your mega fans who will bow down, and just do whatever the hell you tell them to, and just fawn over any mention of their favorite character? Are these the people who are in these focus groups? Because I don't know.
Yeah, and I was like, well, you're not listening to the fans because they're not there to talk to you about it. Like they're not being heard anymore because you took it away from them. So they don't have a way to talk to you. So you can't say you're listening to them when there's no way for you to listen. You've cut them off. Like they can't talk to you anymore. And then they were going on to say that a lot of the team now that's working on the game are people that were like avid fans of the original trilogy.
Oh, Lord.
So they're like, oh, we got to see fresh eyes that didn't have to, as he said, see the sausage made the way that I did. That's exactly how he said it. And I was like, okay. They're like, they got to come into it new without ever having to work on these other games. And he's like, it's really helped us with our process. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay. Well, you guys
I mean, I'll be honest and fair when I play this game. I mean, I don't pull any punches when it comes to BioWare. If they do something I like, I'm going to commend them. If they do something I don't like, I'm going to bitch about it.
I know.
I mean, I'm like a bipolar person over here every time they bring up we bring up the BioWare, because you don't know which way it's going to go.
No, it's been so wishy-washy too with all the stuff even on this game. It's been so all over the place. There's never really been, like, for a long time, I don't think either of us could really say we knew this game was going to come out. Or that it even was ever going to exist.
I always believed it was going to come out. I just didn't know if it was going to be any good.
I wasn't sure. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Like, I was like, I don't know if this is ever going to come to fruition. And if it does, is it going to be something that was thought out and done with respect to the fans and the series?
I mean, I feel like I even give Mafia 3 a fair shake. So I'll give Mass Effect Andromeda. I'll be fair to it. But if it's another Inquisition, I'll bitch about it, because I think Inquisition was the worst product they've ever released.
Jesus.
So.
You really make me not want to touch it, but I know I have to.
You should, though. You have to.
I know, I have to. It's just...
I mean, we're going to have a whole frickin' podcast about Inquisition.
And that's fine.
Let me tell you something.
That's fine. When I get down that road, because the right way to do it would be to replay the first one on stream, but I just can't. I tried and I can't. I can't replay that game anymore. It's too much. It's not playable. But
just
I'll do the second. I want to do the second one. Is the second one
just
good?
Play Inquisition. Just
well,
play Inquisition. You don't need to know anything.
Okay. Maybe I'll just play it in bed. Like, I won't even stream it. I'll just play it in my downtime and let you know how it goes. But overall with the new news that we've gotten, I'm okay still.
Oh, I'm fine, but I still want to know who the romanceable people are now. I don't like how they're jerking us around a bit.
Yeah, they introduced your team, which is Liam and PB.
And the Turian and the
Well, no, Krogan. Like your original people, like are gonna be these two. Oh. So you have this friend Liam, who they needed to mention that he has a British accent. He's British. So if that does anything for anybody, he's British. But who knows? You might not be able to romance him.
Yeah, he might be straight as shit.
He might be straight, and if you're gay and looking for him, might not
Too
happen.
bad.
Or hey, if you're a straight woman who wants him, might be gay. Might not be happening.
Might be.
Might not get to have Liam.
God forbid a straight woman not get a romance option.
Oh my God. I think they have the most romance options.
They do. They do. I think.
Because they can decide
women,
in the middle.
Women
They're
have
like,
the
hey.
most romance options. I don't know. I guess straight women, yes. I think even in Inquisition, probably.
I think straight women have the most.
Mass Effect's probably the opposite. I think probably the men had more options.
You think
it's just
so?
I'm thinking so. What,
I'm
like,
trying to
look
think
at
about it.
Okay, like the first game, it was straight women had one option, and straight men had two options.
True.
Right?
Well, we should have had Caden and Garrus.
Yeah.
We should have had both of those. Nope.
You didn't. No, gay men had zero. You know.
Yeah, I didn't romance anybody in the first game when I first played.
Lesbians had one. So women, whether they were straight or lesbian, each of them had one. Now, if they were bi, then they had two. But let's just keep going here. Mass Effect 2 was a shit show. Let's see. The guys had what? They had Miranda. Now, they might have had Jack. I don't know if it was actually a full-fledged romance or not. It might have just
She
been...
doesn't count as a romance, To me, she doesn't. Like, she's just the thing that happens.
And I think Tally might have been romanceable in that one, too.
She was.
Now, who were the other women in this? They had to be more than that.
Liara.
Well, I don't know if she was actually... Because she was like, what, DLC? I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's like saying that Ashley and Caden coming back are a romance option.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there was more.
And then they had Caden.
Well, the women had Caden, but not really because he's only in
one season. Did men not have him till the third game? Right. No.
It wasn't until the third game.
Really?
Gay guys had nothing till part 3. But the women had Jacob, and I think was Jacob it or was no, it was Garrus. So no, Garrus and Jacob.
Garrus. Did you have a female option on the crew?
You know what? I think the men and women had the option for like a bisexual romance with that redhead. I can't remember her name. But she's your secretary or whatever.
Yeah, she's the secretary. She takes care of your fish tank if you're nice to her.
Yeah.
You don't have to feed your fish. She's your bitch, essentially.
And I think I don't know if that was it or not.
Wasn't there the guy in the basement, or is that the third game?
The guy in the basement?
The guy with the trucks, with the big burly Spanish man.
I already told you, there were no gay options till part 3.
Oh, so he wasn't in until the third game.
Yeah, so like gay guys in part 3 had 2 options, and everybody
Cortez
else
had... and Caden.
And I mean, and when you look at that, that's like 2 options out of a 3-game arc. So, and it doesn't happen till like the last third. So you get to the last third, and there you go.
You're getting no love life until the end.
Exactly. And so this is what I'm saying. Now, Inquisition, women had a lot of options. A lot of options. I think the only guy that was romanceable the women couldn't have was Dorian. I think his name was Dorian.
Yeah, well, didn't you say that was like some swashbuckling man?
Yeah. Yep. Mustache is what I call him.
Yeah. Oh, mustache. Okay. Whatever works for you.
But yeah, so there you go. And I think that female elves had an option that nobody else could have. So some of them were also race-based, like species-based or whatever.
That's racist. Or is that speciesist?
I don't know.
It's both. But we'll see what happens. We won't know until we know.
Well, I guess.
I mean, you can freak out about it until then. That's fine. I understand you. And I accept you for what you are. You're crazy. And that's fine. God. But it is what it is. That's all of our latest news on it. I don't know how much more they're going to give us until it comes out, because they said it's going to come out in early spring.
Well, that's almost here.
Yeah. And they were like, are you confident? Are you sure? And he's like, I'm pretty sure that, yeah, it's going to be done.
Yeah, we'll have something out, It'll be something. I don't know what the next convention is. I'm sure there's something early in the year.
No?
Maybe? I don't know.
I don't have a clue.
Keep up with this. But I figured they had to show it somewhere. So, especially if they're releasing this in spring, because that's going to be before E3.
Well, they've already showed a bunch of stuff now.
I mean, okay.
So they might not have to do anymore.
I mean, usually they show something, like a gameplay footage or something.
We got gameplay footage.
We got a gameplay trailer. It's not
Oh yeah, yeah, no.
I mean, unless you
yeah,
count
it's
that frickin' 4K. Hey, buy a 4K TV and watch this gameplay.
PS Pro.
Good God.
But they said they aren't sure if it's gonna come out on the PS Pro. They said that because they were like, oh,
Well,
PS4
no, I mean
Pro.
anything can be. I think the Pro can like play anything, can it? But you just have to like. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's upgraded.
Yeah, they don't know if they're
don't know.
going to release it on that.
I don't know what
I
anything
don't know.
is.
That's what he just said he didn't know, and I was like, oh, okay. Some of the things he answered, I was just like, all right, no, okay, I don't know what you're doing, but it's fine. But I'm sure we'll have more news in the coming weeks because spring is right around the corner.
Yes.
It's weird to think about, but it is because winter has just started. But spring will be here before you know it. We're at like an hour 25. Do you have anything else, or are we done?
I mean, I'm sure there's always something out there, but
Yeah, I've got like a little thing.
okay.
Mark Wahlberg will not be doing the Uncharted movie, if anyone was concerned.
I thought they kind of confirmed that a while. Oh, I guess they didn't confirm.
Oh no, because
okay.
they wanted him to be Nathan Drake.
Yeah.
He would have been a pretty good fit.
Yeah.
But he's not doing it. He came out and said he doesn't want to do with the Uncharted movie. So there you go. Mark Wahlberg's not going to be Nathan Drake. That was it. So unless you had something else, I'm going to wrap.
Well, I mean, we played some Star Trek Online. So
You're going to go there?
I don't know. I mean, that was the first thing that popped into my mind was that we dabbled
Star Trek
in
Online
Star Trek
was fun. It's a kind of clunky game. It's
It came out a long time ago.
Yeah,
it was an 2009 game.
It's a little clunky. It doesn't seem like it's been updated much. It's...
Well, I mean, I'm glad they're releasing more MMOs on console because it gives some controller schemes, which I think more of them need. Like Star Wars: The Old Republic should have a controller scheme for God's sakes, but it doesn't. So.
Well, and I thought Star Trek Online was fun, but it's not a game I'll be going back to on my own.
I didn't think it would be. So.
I think I'd fall asleep. That's just because of the way it is.
I enjoy it. I like it. I sometimes play it on my own. So I do other things.
But it's
what can I say?
It was an okay experience. I'll give it that. I mean, it is what it is. It was fun, but we're on to bigger and better things now.
Yeah, I
so
guess
much
so
to do.
For a little while.
We'll be doing. I think the next online game we'll be doing is the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Well, at some point.
I think so.
Yeah. And unless we both end up on the Final Fantasy Online free trial train.
Oh, that's the other thing we were going to talk about, but I'm not talk about. We're just going to mention it. But if you haven't played Final Fantasy 14 in a while and you had played it in the past, you can get that 4 days for free just by logging in.
And you get 96 hours of playtime.
Yeah.
To do
consecutive.
Whatever you want. Now, does that timer still go down when we're logged out?
I'm pretty sure.
Fuck them.
I'm pretty sure they would do it like that. Otherwise, that would be insane.
Yeah, I guess that would be insane. You're right. I'm stupid. You're right. That would be crazy. But yeah, I mean, that's something I know I'm probably going to jump on, and if I'm lucky, Razzle will jump on it too. So that could be something we do for a little bit, and then we'll check out Lord of the Rings, see how that is.
Yeah, we'll play some early stuff from Final Fantasy 14 because you no longer are on my server. So we will do something.
I can transfer the character. I can go over to Gilgamesh and say hello.
I don't know if you'd want to come back to Gilgamesh.
You know what? The people I used to know there are no longer there.
It's all a hellhole now.
Fuck them. I remember there was one person there who always just irritated me with his existence. I didn't actually know him, but it was some character that's always standing around with a cowboy hat on.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that person.
I don't remember what their name was.
I
would fight with them in chat, but we didn't know each other.
Yeah, I know you had a lot of fights with that person. I do recall that, yes.
Yeah, and we did not know who each other was. We just would argue.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was a good time. But who knows? Maybe a bunch has changed, or maybe nothing has. But I'll make
It'll
sure
be
that we're
fun.
able to
We're
do
going to
content.
revisit it. We're going to have a little bit of fun with it. We'll probably be drinking. And
Yes,
that'll be that.
yes, we will be.
So, yeah, one of these weekends
Yeah, one of
coming up soon.
Yeah, very soon. It's exciting. But that's all we have for you this week. You can email us at theprattlecast@gmail.com. Leave us a message at speakpipe.com/theprattlecast. Every episode is uploaded to YouTube each week. We have a Twitter account for the podcast, which is just the Prattlecast. Our personal ones are at Shakezilla TV and at Razzle_Dazzles. We stream together every Friday or Saturday between, oh God, what is it? 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Yes, I got it right. I have to go by Eastern Standard Time because that's just, it makes life easier for Razzle. And for apparently everybody else because people just understand that time zone better. We also have a Patreon page, which if you are so inclined, you can donate there monthly for as little as $1. And it just goes towards supporting the streams and helping us with the podcast to do more and have things more put together if we can do that. You also get perks for being a Patreon, so each tier gives you different things. So if you're interested in that, you can look at the page. It's located down below the episode. Am I missing something? I'm out of it. Help me.
I think that's it. I think that's hopefully everything.
I'm good. I got this. This is a good week for me. Razzle did a weird opening, so I lost my mind. I don't know how to end things anymore. But that's all we have for you. We will see you next week. Be nice to each other.